Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. If you want to see a game where both players are playing super reactively and pivoting multiple times throughout the game, this is the one for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, we have Momaro playing as a quick supply specialist with spiders and marksmen. I would love to see this on the line here. Yeah, good job. And he's up against Maskyart playing as a supply specialist with the Mustangs and marksmen. So in theory, this board should do really well against, at least in the early rounds, against what Maskyart has. Triple spiders. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of triple spiders. Just like the other game that we just talked about with Bimpy, whenever you're putting down units, right, you want to put units into what your opponents are weak into. And I feel like right now he's probably very weak into chaff in general, just chaff all over the place. Yes, there's going to be arclights to help with some of the chaff, but I just generally feel like that's the weakest point. Marksmen, we do have 3 of the marksmen, so they can deal quite a lot of damage into the spiders. We'd love to just see a chaff board developing a little bit better. But I think even now, I you know, this is just a very strong startup unit set. Alright, let's get tower. If we can get tower before that spider dies, then all is well in this world. There we go. And it's a very strange setup for our red player here. He's got the arclights actually on the line beside the tower instead of being in front of the tower. So that just makes the whole board feels a little bit more dangerous. Extended range steel balls. I think that's a great card into spider gaming. Also, I love to see mass produced wasp. You don't have a lot of chaff, and later on you're going to be facing things like phoenixes. You're going to be facing things like marksman. 100 supply wasp is really good. I mean, this is just a great setup here. Both extended mass or mass produced wasp are great. Missile strike, you can take out one of these Mustangs. So just a lot of good stuff. All right, so Momaro decided to just amp up the pressure starting at round 2 with a spider mine and 1 deployment into crawlers. Was it 2 deployment? Oh, he's quick supply. So that's going to be 2 deployments in crawlers. So very early spider mine. Whenever you're playing spider, just remember that the spider mine also levels with the spider. Level 1 spider mines have only 750 HP, but once you get to level 2, they're essentially tiny sledgehammers, which makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with. Early spider mine has one significant downside, and that is the things that the spider mines kill do not give tarantula experience. Which means if you get turn 2 spider mines and your spider mine end up killing like a whole chunk of Mustangs, you're not going to get all the experience, which means your tarantula are going to be very slow when it comes to leveling. I personally prefer taking range before getting spider mine. In fact, spider mine is probably going to be my 3rd tech, so usually I take range. And if I'm running into a board that has a lot of chaff, I would take high explosive. Range is especially important when you're running into a board with Mustangs, because Mustangs naturally outrange your tarantula, and that forces your tarantulas to just keep walking forward. Sabertooth is going to be a great card for our red player. Not only it produces an answer against the tarantula, it also is very tanky. But instead, it's going to be Rhino. Very interesting. Rhino on a defensive board. Well, Momaro here, I would expect Momaro to take Rhino or Sabertooth. He already has Spider, Marksman, so Phoenix and Wraith, they're kind of a gimmick. You can use them to flank maybe some mobile beacon, but it's kind of gimmicky. Alright, so it's going to be a mobile beacon, Rhino, and Crawler into a tower. Another Rhino coming in here. Rhino is an interesting choice because we already have spider mines on the field, so not entirely sure what the thought process behind that is. Maybe he just wants to get some Rhino and start selling them out. For now, it's just a big tempo run here. Okay, so it's Rhino for Momaro as well. It's kind of chaotic because, again, you have spider mines on the field. And spider mines do friendly damage, which means these spider mines are going to run with the rhino into the same target, and when they are killed or they simply explode on their own, they will do collateral damage to your own rhinos. All right, so it's going to be more tarantula on the board, and rhino here, and they're also very forward placing, which means they're definitely going to get bombarded. I mean, just look at the rhino on the far left here. Those two Spider-Man come in, boom, collateral damage. I wouldn't be surprised if both players would start selling rhinos the very next round. Okay, so no tower on the side here. In fact, we're actually going to get tower right here on the left. I'm surprised there's also no levels on this marksman. I mean, they all are ready to be leveled, but none were taken. So a great round here for our blue player. Getting tower, getting some experience, getting some levels on a tarantula. That's very crucial because we want to take range. All right. Absorption module could be pretty good. Assault Fort is like an excellent card here into Battle Spider. Mamaro bought a boat. Trying to use the boat as sort of a alpha strike unit against this rhino on the side here and adding more spiders. I would love just to see more spiders. I think spiders alone at level 2 should be able to handle this. Masquerade decided to add a double squad of wasp, knowing that there's probably not going to be any sort of anti-air that can deal with the wasp. So very astute. The rhino at the bottom left is not being answered at the moment. It has 2 chaff, but if the rhino takes a whirlwind, which is just a 250 supply tech, and it can easily cut through these 2 chaff and go straight to the tower. So that's a potential problem. Not yet, but it's a potential problem. It's kind of like having crawlers on your flank. You never know when your opponent's going to take replicate. So you either play chicken with your opponent, or you bite the bullet and take replicate yourself. All right. So it seems like the board is set. Double shot gets picked up by the snipers. Double shot is one of those tech that are kind of resurging in the meta. I've seen a few games at the tourney yesterday where people go double shot. I was talking to DRN and I was like, that's a interesting decision. We haven't seen double shot in many months, really. I at some point had double shot instead of AA on my marksman. Now looking back, it was just a little bit silly, but double shot does do a lot of damage. I mean, as you can see now, the entire front line of spiders would just getting destroyed. Farseer is an excellent unit to complement the spiders. I don't even think the other 3 units has any merits. Stormcaller, which is for big, single unit damage and also a bit of chaff clear. We don't really need more chaff clear. Farseer is picked up. Great choice. For Masquerade, I think Stormcaller is going to be a great choice. Right now, no range is picked up. Spider-Mine is going to be a bit of a problem, but I feel like Stormcaller should be able to dispatch the spiders. All right, it's going to be Sledgies, actually. Sledgies in vertical formation, trying to tank the spider mines at the front here, and also just putting more pressure back in the corner. Still no range and no additional chaff coming in from Momaro. I think the lack of chaff is a bit of a pain point. Last round, we saw how quickly these spiders were gunned down by these double shot marksmen. So not having chaff and yeah, we're going to see something very similar. Speaking of chaff, I think Momaro, if he drops down even more crawlers at some point, is going to be a very strong board because the current, or at least the primary chaff clear method from Masquerade are these 3 Arclights. And also later on with these 2 sledgehammers. So if you put down multiple crawlers, you can always get loose and all of a sudden your chaff, the effectiveness of your chaff triples. A tremendous flank coming in from the bottom left here. We got Rhino coming in. We got Farseer just fighting for his dear life. We got Mobile Beacon, Wasp, everything coming over to the tower, and they will get it. Once they got the tower, the spiders are just sitting ducks. Spider mines are crawling towards their target, not able to connect. So it's a huge round and a huge tempo swing here for our rep player. Whenever you see something like this, you should be very scared, not just for where the action actually happened, but the opposite of the board. Very often when you see a big push on one side, the very next round, you should realistically expect a sizable aggression on the other side. Okay. All things considered, though, this is not a terrible round for Momaro. I thought it was just going to be overwhelming HP hit, but all things considered, I mean, this is nothing compared to sort of the aggression we saw here. Okay. Reinforcement cards, improve Sandworm. If you're getting into aggro stuff, improve Sandworm is really good. Right now, right now you get Spider Mines, so improve Sandworm can actually just trigger on all the Spider Mines and die. So not the great choice, but in aggro in general, that could be very fun to play into. Masky are getting a lot of value from this Jump Drive Wasp. I'm actually surprised that he hasn't leveled them. Like, imagine if these two Wasps are leveled and just like this ball of trouble going left and right. And speaking of left and right, here is the counter aggression on the other side. So yeah, a very common strategy, more common now in the higher levels, is that you feint an attack on one side and then the real attack is coming from the other side the next turn. We've seen it not just in these sort of more complex boards. The most obvious example is corner war factory. You put a war factory on a corner, mobile beacon to the tower, and then you expect your opponents to put down a melting point here and nothing on the other side. You sell the war factory next turn, put it on the other side, mobile beacon to the tower, and then you win the game. But you see Apuchi do it, you see Sacco do it like every other game. And the reason they're doing it because it's effective. Because not even high-level players can read the board like that because it's just so unpredictable. But here is a relatively easy read. This is the side that has almost no chaff. It has a bunch of big units. So in terms of unit complexity, it's very easy to answer. You just need some big guns, and the big guns are going to come in the form of these two melting points. All right, the left side gets mopped up, but the right side is being mopped up. Okay. Now, do these boats have jump drive? They do have jump drive, which means Momaro has the opportunity to do exactly the same strategy as his opponent. Jump drive boats has been pretty popular these days because of the 201 server. It's a direct counter to the Vulcan play, whether it's just a Scorch Vulcan or a Artillery Vulcan with a Incendiary Bomb or an Oil Bomb. So usually the way it works is you get chain gun, mothership, jump drive. You put all your boats on one side, mobile beacon in, and then the next turn you can either do symmetrical or you can do another side. Either way, it's a very tricky thing to play against. It's almost like a corner war factory. It's just that now you have unlimited movement, whereas the corner war factory you kind of have to eventually settle on one side or the other. All right, it's still a very close round. We are round 6 and both players are still hovering about 3000 HP. Efficient tech might be interesting. Let's see. We do have a few techs that's already picked up, so it may not be as good for Momaro. For Maskyart, might be good for Maskyart here because he only had 2 tech picked up, so there's a lot of things he could potentially go for a tech. But instead, it's going to be quick teleport and a skip for Momaro. Interesting on a quick teleport. I wonder if it's going to start fortifying on this side, maybe. This is like wide open, so probably chaff will be best. Just have some chaff, have like maybe more sledges? Not sure. All right. Charge shot phoenixes to deal with these overlords. I think what the red player is really banking on is just the lack of chaff clear and the lack of medium-sized unit clear. Because once you get rid of the bangs, really, charge shot phoenix can destroy everything here. Still no levels on this wasp. I feel like at this point, these wasps have done so much to the board. Ooh, this is a hole that the red player found out. This is really good. Like, there's nothing here protecting anything. And here's the missile dealing with the crawler. And now it's just gonna go straight in. Now imagine if these wasps are actually level 2. It's gonna have a great time versus Momaro's wasp, but instead they're being gunned down here. Great pressure here on the far right. And the left side is held. So a huge round here from Momaro. And now all of a sudden our red players are on a back footing. And he'll have to answer multiple problems. And the tempo is now back with Momaro. Rhino Assault might be something that you want to take if you want to keep adding pressure to the board. If you're looking at the middle of the board, things are quite empty. And speaking of which, here it is. All right, on Momaro's side, extended range steel balls. Very, very interesting. I think that's an answer directly to these melting points. So if you can get the melting points, then your boats will have a great time. Finally, we see levels on these wasp and also AA. Interesting choice on the AA. I think the red player is really expecting more boats, but instead it's really just going to be the 3 boats on the field. Anti-air is going to be a problem on Momaro's side. Right now, without the boats, we usually have 2 wasps, which are going to get gunned down by AA wasp, and then 1 level 1 Farseer, another Farseer, which is probably going to die in the first 3 seconds. So that's going to be a big problem here. It's very difficult though, this particular game, because there has been so many transitions in and out into different units. A lot of the reads that we're seeing here, for example, multi-melter, is very nuanced, right? Multi-melter is picked up as a direct response to the steel balls, but unfortunately he does not have enough money to go range, which means steel balls actually do outrange the multi-melter, which is really sad because, yeah, stuff like that happens, and your multi-melter is never going to catch up to the steel balls. But the real MVP here is just going to be these wasps. They're going to get rid of pretty much everything. Good use of shield though, protecting the Farseer, so it can actually do the job it needs to do and get rid of these pesky wasps. Rhino at the back tower. A close round. All thanks to this Farseer and the shield bubble. All right, getting to round 9 here. I think Momaro is just 1 turn away from winning this round. Fortress with AA Barrage would be the way to go. Direct answer to these walls, but just got to be very careful. They do have jump drive, which means you need to not just protect one side. AA also gets picked up on the Wasp. Now they're triple tagged with range, so it's got ground spec and range. I wouldn't mind seeing more Wasp on the other side as well. Wasps themselves can deal into this board. I might just start selling overlords at this point if you have so many wasps. Fortress is picked up by our rep player as well, but instead of AA is in fact going to be barriers. That's a very interesting decision of going for more giants into ranged steel balls. You think that, you know, when you see the steel balls, like range steel balls, you probably just say, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna go full on air. But no, instead it's just gonna be more forts and more forts down the line. He's trying to do a fort jail with level 1 forts and no support. Ton of missile going down, I think. Maybe the wasp. No, actually, I don't know. Maybe the rhino. I can't really tell. It's either the rhino or the wasp. It's gonna get hit. And this one here, getting the crawlers. All right, let's see how this round goes. It's gonna be the wasp. That's unfortunate. Those are really good wasps. And here's what I was talking about, right? You got range balls with even more range on top of ER. And just gunning down all these forts. And here comes the wasp here. Can they kill the forts without taking too much damage? The answer is yes. Alright, wasp coming down. Getting tower. The level 1 farce here deserves a level 2. It would be so much better at this job. Because right now, you see, it's not able to one-shot this level 3 wasp. So either get him level 2 or take attack enhancement. Attack is probably better. Because you just really need to, like, 10 more HP. Alright, not too bad. I mean, getting chipped away here by our rep player, but I still feel like the Momaro's board is very strong. Lightning Storm, great card. I would take Lightning Storm and I will put it on the other side. Because you know the rep player is going to move their wasp on that one side. I mean, any reasonable human being is going to do that exact same thing. So definitely put it on the other side. So, yeah. Enough said. I mean, we've seen a lot of ability cards used in the final rounds in where the opponent expect them to be. In this case, it's even easier to tell because he's already got jump drive. He doesn't even need to evacuate by selling things. He just moves. So that was definitely a slight misread here. We do have forts kind of in the back here. The answer to this fort is going to be these boats. I suppose the boats are okay, but then right now the boats, they don't do really well into these AA wasps. So we need to solve something, or I need to solve both of those things effectively. I would still say like getting just 3 level 2 wasp here would be the way to go. I think the hesitation is probably from this force taking AA barrage, which would be terrible. But it can be solved by simply moving one of your boats like at the front here and just get more wasp here. Okay, steel balls doing steel ball things. Multi-melter are gunning down these wasps pretty quickly, but not quick enough. The lightning storm is actually killing Momaro's units because of the wasps are flying in too fast. Tower is going to be taken. However, as the unit moves over to the left-hand side, there might be a very nasty tower timing. Yep, so wasps are coming back, and right now there's no AA to really speak of. I mean, we got a few wasps up here. Ooh, that's a big barrage. Nice. Forgot about this fortress that's lagging behind. That's a great barrage. And with that, I think that is game. Thank you for watching. If your break isn't over right this minute, you have to check out this video. I'll see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.